Hey, Dave Oslin here. Hey, I've got a boat, a big boat. The owner's been having trouble as he comes in to put this thing on a trailer with it being centered on the trailer. If you've got a boat of any size, you've probably experienced this unless you have some guide-ons. And a boat this big needs some serious guide-ons. It's 25 foot long. I've started these things. You can see they're made out of heavy aluminum. If you go online, you can see these little guide-ons they sell. Even the max heavy duty ones are only 18 inches tall. That thing's barely gonna come up to here, right? And if you hit one of those with a big size boat, it's probably just gonna rip it off the frame. So I'm fabricating some heavy duty guide-ons for this boat. So when he pulls in, instead of the boat drifting all over who knows where, you can come in here in one shot and guide this boat straight into this guiding roller right here. So that's the point. You'll see here we'll have a 2x6 wrapped with the indoor outdoor carpet on there to protect the boat. But I've tacked together these things. I'm going to go through what it takes to build one of these things. You can see I've got this thing mounted on this 5-inch wide frame. Yeah, so here we go. We'll walk through on what it takes to make these things. So here's my weapon of choice for cutting aluminum. It's actually a wood cutoff saw. I use Makita, big 12-inch sliding compound miter saw. If you look, I can take this thing and adjust it down to a gnat's ass. I've got 7 3/4 degrees. Using a regular steel chop box, they're just dinosaurs compared to these wood ones. Unfortunately, you can't cut steel with these wood, but aluminum cuts like a breeze. And then there is the trusty angle grinder. These are 4.5-inch angle grinders. Hey, if you don't have one of these things, you've never used one, they're worth their weight in gold. You can put all kinds of little implements on here, grinders, cutting wheels, wire brushes, you name it. 4.5-inch angle grinder. Have a few of them on your shop. You'll notice I've got a belt grinder over here. Invaluable tool for a shop. And my old trusty Rockwell drill press, about 40 years old, still runs like a champ. Skill saw. Okay, so we've decided to locate these somewhere in here so we're flat against the frame and we're relatively flat against the boat. This is my little template here I've made. Now I gotta determine the angle here of what I want to put on here. So this will make sense later on. I've had this thing for 35 years. So we're looking at about 8.5 degrees there. For my vertical sections of this guide-on, I'm using 3x3 by 1/4 inch 6061 aluminum. Look, we've got this right down here, 8 degrees. Josh is gonna start cutting here. One of the nice things about these miter saws that you can't get with a regular steel chop box is the precision on angles. The steel chop boxes are kind of dinosaurs compared to these wood ones. I'm going to do a dry fit here. Okay, I like it. Notice so this thing doesn't go kicking off with a chunk of metal. We've actually got it clamped down here while Josh is cutting here.
here.
Try it for a fit on that 4x4. A little tight there.
A little tight. Fits there. So we're gonna grind these edges down a little bit.
Okay, you're uptown.
So
working with aluminum is not a whole lot different than working with wood, except you got to weld it instead of glue or nail it. But it's soft enough that you can always almost work it like hardwood. So we want to make sure when this goes on here and we weld this, rather than just having a butt-to-butt tight weld, I'm going to actually put some bevels on this so the weld can penetrate down in there and lay down in there and actually be a stronger weld. So now by beveling this thing all the way around, when it goes onto here now and we weld this, we can get a full penetration weld. If this was just tight butted there, that weld's not going to penetrate more than 1/8 of an inch. This is 3/8 stock. Now we're going to get, by welding both sides, we're going to get a full pen weld, much stronger. A little bit of prep goes a long ways on this. Josh is going to do the same thing on the piece of pipe. Anywhere we're going to have a weld, I'm putting a bevel on there so I can get a deeper penetrating weld everywhere. We'll see that in a few minutes when we tack and weld this bad boy on there. So Josh is taking some acetone. We've cleaned these ends up, we've beveled them, but we also want to clean this aluminum. Aluminum's a touchy metal. It likes clean. Even though we're going to do MIG welding with this, spool gun welding, it still likes it clean, as opposed to if you were doing TIG welding, you got to have it extra clean. Anyway, so now we're clean. Go ahead and clean this up around there, Josh. Josh is a woodworker. He's transitioning into being a good metal worker too. One of my former videos, he built a, we call it the Mad Max bumper for one of your old trucks. Very cool. Okay, so we've got everything cleaned up now. We even cleaned this plate up. We've marked it so we're centered this. Josh is gonna be my assistant here. He's gonna get this thing centered just like we like it. He's gonna hold it in place while I tack weld it. Okay, we're gonna give this a couple of tacks here and there. Watch your eyes. There's one. There's two. Okay, roll the whole thing over. Got it. Watch your fingers. So we're just doing, we've tacked the bottom on. Now we've lined up the top. We just want to make sure we got a 5-inch spacer in there for the simulate the 5-inch frame of the boat. Now we're just getting sure everything. We're going to tack it all on. Truth be, we cut these back. We move this a little bit, and that's why we want to tack everything before you go gang welding, because you know how it is. You're going to gang weld the crap out of stuff, and all of a sudden you go, oops. And you also notice when I ground this bad boy, I like to ground directly to the material I'm welding. It's always going to give you a better MIG weld. MIG's very touchy for grounding properly. Okay, so let's do this. Let's go put it on the frame and check out, see how it looks. We'll put a wedge right in there. So it looks good. Let's put a couple more tacks on. Okay, we've got a little wedge here. We're gonna tack in place. That's gonna give us a square fit against our frame. One more dry fit with that little wedge that we just put in there. Go ahead and drop the bolts in there and see, make sure it's a...
Oh yeah.
And we're looking good up there too. Okay, let's go up and cut that top angle up there. Very cool. Okay, we're going to try a little dry fit here after we've beveled the top.
Oh yeah.
Cutting the backing plate. We're doing a dry fit with our backing plate tacked in place. Have to get the approval of the boss. Boy, that looks pretty sweet, boss.
It does.
You notice, I want to show you guys something. I'm going to put this thing right down the edge, if you can see that thing. Right now it's bent like this, but once we weld that, it's going to be straight. Kind of crazy how much metal moves when you weld it, especially aluminum. Okay, Josh, let's go put some metal on it. Okay, a couple little tacks here. Again, just in case I screwed up, which has happened many times. Let's see how this XR weld looked across that aluminum. Not bad. Is it a weld that an expert TIG welder could do? Maybe not, but on 3/8 aluminum, you got to do a lot of heat with TIG welding to do that. We had a 1-inch bend in this before we welded it. Now, if you can look down there, it's pretty well straight, dead nut straight now. We got lucky. Bending it opposite that we knew the weld was going to suck that metal in there. Watch your eyes. And the last piece of the puzzle is to fit this little wedge in here to keep this thing spaced out, proper distance from the frame. It's time to tack in this very last piece of the puzzle on this frame, this little wedge. Watch your eyes. Here's how metal moves after you've welded it. Notice that was tight. Now there's an 1/8 inch gap because I welded the other side of it. So I've got to clamp this in and pull it in, weld it. Ground on. How many of us has gone to weld and forgot to ground our material? And no worky then. Bingo. Again, there's a weld right there before it's been cleaned up. XR30 gun. Oops, forgot one piece of the puzzle. I need the stiffeners on this back. That's the last thing I gotta do. Gotta cut a couple of pieces of metal and weld them in there. Okay, it's time to weld on these stiffeners. If you remember, I back bent, if you can see this plate with a good inch bow in it. Now that I've welded it, it's flat again. It's one of those things that you just have to learn and kind of guesstimate what's going to happen when you weld things together. Watch your eyes, as they say. It's called using clamps in a creative process. I like these wooden Jorgensen clamps, not only for cabinet making, but they have a long throat on them. So whatever it takes. Temporarily tacking things. It's like wrapping a Christmas present. There it is, ready to mount. You're going to change these springs once a year if you're using your trailer a lot anyway. So here we are. Got these puppies on, they're all bolted on. Next time Josh launches this big bad boy into the ocean and he comes back out, he's going to be able to slide that big monster in, and it's going to come right up to the nose here.